All right, we have with us Christopher Paris with the Damiano Center. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
So wanted to start with talking about your role at Damiano and what your path to Damiano was, how you got involved in this work.
Yeah, that's always a great question. So I have now been at Damiano, I'm always happy to say, just shy of a year and a half now. I started here just before the beginning of 2025. I took on the associate director role here, which involves overseeing 4 of our programs on the second floor here, and then doing a lot of other administrative duties. I do all of our finances, things like that.
Other duties as assigned.
Yes, like any nonprofit, it's we all do a little of everything, and that's, I think, part of the joy of being in this field is there's never, a shortage of something to do, and being a little good at a lot of things can come in really handy. So,
Sure.
Yeah, with that, I came to Damiano Center from YWCA Duluth, and I had been there for about 3.5 years in a human resources director role. I started out there as an administrative assistant, and just things worked out how they did, and it was a really good journey, a lot of hard work, but that's where I started in the nonprofit world. And before that, I always like to say I was excitingly a stay-at-home dad for about 7 years, and before that a UPS driver. So
Okay.
I think it's been a varied path with a lot of different skills in there. So.
You must be a very patient person to be a stay-at-home dad for 7 years.
Yeah.
I was at home with my daughter for 6 months, and I couldn't do that. So hats off to you.
There was a lot of text to my mom of, I appreciate everything you did.
You start to really appreciate your parents when you become a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. Sweet.
So let's talk about Damiano as an organization and what programs Damiano runs, how they serve the community, and then we'll talk about the Minnesota Food Share Challenge and the Cheerio Challenge.
Awesome. Yeah. It's actually quite a large organization. I think the history of this organization is something that's pretty incredible as well. It started in the early 80s with the need in the area during that recession, and there was some leftover staff members from the Catholic Church here living in the apartment next door that started serving out their back door, actually just food to people who needed. Mm-hmm. And pretty quickly the line got too long to be able to make enough food in the small kitchen they had, and they asked the Catholic Diocese for this vacant Catholic elementary school that was sitting here, and got the building from them and started our first program, which was then our soup kitchen, now our community kitchen, and that has been running ever since.
And when was that again?
82. So okay. We actually just celebrated our 44th anniversary and served that anniversary meal last Monday, which we remake that first meal every year.
Awesome.
Yeah. And beyond that, we've grown. We now have 8 different unique programs, and the community kitchen being our longest standing. Another common food program that we have is our kids kitchen program. It's set up like an after-school drop-in center for any youth that want to stop in. They can get a snack and then also dinner. Some come in, just grab a snack and head on their way. Others like to hang out. We've always got staff in there that are able to play games, sit and listen, do crafts, things like that. And it's just a fun space to be. It's also got a magnificent view of the lake, so that's a little highlight, but
always a plus.
And that runs all school year long and all summer long. And then during the summer, they also do, as part of that program, what they call Summer Food Corps. And that is set up to be a first job for teenagers who come in and get to go garden every day with our kids kitchen staff at one of the rooftop gardens downtown here. And they grow food all summer. Then they come help with the kids kitchen programming after that. And it's actually pretty cool to see the younger kids arguing over the broccoli that the older kids grew, because it's cool because the other kids grew it. So
that's cool.
Those are kind of our primary food programs. Beyond that, we offer a free store that's open 5 days a week as well. That is one of our other biggest programs. I would say we move about 15,000 items a month through our free store, which always kind of blows my mind. We don't actually buy anything for that program. Everything is donated from the community and goes out through the door. So there's a lot of steps in that process to get from donation to out the door, and it's really neat to see that all happen. And
What sort of things do you have at the free store?
Yeah, the biggest items are clothing items.
Sure.
So we've got clothing racks set up in there, and people can come in and shop for what they need. We also offer general household items if we have blankets, things like that. Sometimes kitchen supplies, pots, pans, dishes, if we have enough to put in there, and things like that. It all varies depending on what comes in as far as donations, but pretty much everything that comes in goes right back out within a week to the community.
Very cool.
So that's operating, and then the sister program to that would be our Clothes That Work program, which is also a clothing program. That one is set up for people who are currently employed, interviewing for jobs. At the beginning of 2025, we had a grant that allowed us to actually help set up people that were recently released from incarceration as well through that program. And individuals can come in there. It's set up like a little boutique. We've got a masculine, feminine side in there, and people can shop for the clothes they need for work and come in once every 3 months for up to 5 outfits if they're working. So pretty cool to see that in action. It's actually really a joy to sit in there with somebody picking out interview clothes who comes back in a week or two and says, I got the job, now I need clothes to go to work every day. So pretty
cool.
neat. Another big program up on our second floor here is community services, which is kind of, I would call the catch-all program of what we want to do that the other programs don't cover. We do transportation help within that program. So we do daily bus tokens every day of the week. We give out, a limited number. If people are working, they can also come in and get a 31-day bus pass or a gas voucher, and those transportation pieces are set up to help out if you're a little short between paychecks, and transportation is going to make the difference between getting to work or food on the table. We can help out with that. We also in there hand out hygiene kits every day, quite a few of those. It's just travel size shampoo, conditioner, deodorants, toothbrushes, things like that to get people those items that they need. And then also people move into new apartments or houses, they can bring in their lease. We get them set up with basic necessities to really be successful in that space, whether that's bedding, again, those pots, pans, dishes, silverware, kitchen items, cleaning supplies, again, whatever we have that came in on donation that we can get back out. So kind of varies from time to time what we might have, but anything that we do have is available to help individuals be successful in those spaces that they're moving into. Trying to think, and beyond that, we operate a safe storage program, which is actually really unique. We're one of 3 locations in the state of Minnesota that actually do a program that offers that. And it's individuals come in and sign up. They get a 27-gallon tote, and we treat it like a safety deposit box. And they come in, access that box whenever they need when we're open, and we bring it down to them. They can go through and put items in there, take them with or leave items, and then we bring it back to a locked room where it's safe. It's really hard, when you're carrying things all day long, and this gives people a place to keep some of those things, to take that literal weight off their shoulders.
Yeah.
Before working here, it seemed too simple to be an effective program, but since I have seen people in tears over having a place to keep things where they know it's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then our last program that we offer during the summer months, we offer a hygiene unit. It's a trailer that we have with 6 shower units in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I say summer months, we work in conjunction with Chum in the warming shelter, and in the winter they operate showers, and then in the summer we have that trailer available so that there's always somewhere to go. But people can come in. We've got hygiene supplies. We've got towels. They can get in there, clean up, get a shower, feel refreshed, and clean up.
So quite expansive sort of list of services and they offer the communities, and that's good to. It's partially why I wanted to have you and others on, because a lot of folks don't know, right? We don't know what an important impact and big impact that Damiano and Union Gospel Mission and Chum have on our community, and filling in those, filling that need that just doesn't exist anywhere else, right? Like most people would not think like the safe storage, offering that service to somebody is huge and is not something that some people might realize is a need for our community. So appreciate you walking through that.
Definitely. And I think that's part of the beauty of being here too, is seeing really the collaboration side of things. We work closely with Chum, with the Union Gospel Mission, to not overlap services, so that if either of us are asking for funding, we're not using that money to offer the same things.
Mm-hmm.
It allows money to go further. It allows us to do more and to do better at what we do and to kind of specialize in each thing.
Speaking of that sort of partnership or collaboration with different organizations, so if I understand correctly, so Chum is expanding the shelter, and that is under construction right now. And during the time while that's being built, Damiano is hosting Chum's shelter, right, on one of the floors of the center. Can you talk about what that process has been and the impact on the services that you provide? I would imagine that has put some strain on or some additional need put on Damiano.
Definitely. I think at the end of the day, it's one of those just wonderful collaborations of this was the best path forward, even though it didn't look like it maybe at the start. It was actually fall of last year. Chum moved the shelter into our third floor, which used to be an auditorium space. Damiano has not utilized it other than storage since it opened. There hasn't been heat, water, electricity, all those things floor. And wonderfully, the city and the county really came through and helped to fund a renovation of that floor to build a really amazing shelter space up there that can now house up to 120 beds up there. So it's a massive change. Chum went from having 80 at their old building to 120 here. Mm-hmm. Their goal as of now is to increase that even more, I believe up to 160 when they move back. So kind of a stepping stone up. On top of that, since they moved in, as you mentioned, the strain, our numbers, it was interesting. I look at our numbers every month, but looking at them before talking to you, our numbers really have a before Chum and after Chum effect when you start to look at those. Our meal numbers have just jumped drastically, which people are here, meals are here, so it makes it a lot easier, but does put much bigger strain on, the budget as far as getting all that food and providing that food, and that kind of shifts over into other programs too. Just the need becomes greater because we now have 120 individuals who live upstairs and come down every morning for the things they need. But it is really a beautiful thing because it makes Damiano really a one-stop shop for all of those things. Mm-hmm. You're sleeping here, you're able to come down and get the clothes you need, to get the hygiene items you need, get the meal you need, those kinds of things. And it really just kind of a wonderful thing to see our guests more regularly like that too.
Yeah. One of the sort of statistics that I think Seth had sent was that Damiano, because you serve breakfast 7 days a week and you're serving between 20 and 25 pounds of cereal per day, that's like 9,000 pounds of cereal every year. That is a segue into the Cheerio challenge and why, while you and the other partners would accept some other things, that cereal is an important component of feeding the community and the folks that you serve. So can you talk about the importance of the Cheerio challenge, or just like Minnesota Food Share in general of food donations?
Definitely. It's actually just amazing to see the amount of cereal we've been going through again since Chum has moved in. That number, it's staggering when you look at just the quantity of food that we go through in that kitchen. We do serve cereal breakfast 7 days a week with, coffee, milk, some boiled eggs and things like that down there too. But we also have been lucky enough to work with, we work with Second Harvest Heartland, who's come through really strong with helping us out with some of that cereal need. But I always think of the food too as Damiano's. It runs in a very unique way. Of most of our funding, most of our donations all come in through those smaller donations, whether it's physical goods, dollars. The majority of our budget is really built on the $20 or the $50 checks, not the $100,000 grants. We are really built around the community for the community. So all of those, it's that whole idea of, a lot of a little adds up to be a great amount, and seeing the sheer number of people who give in that way also just feels heartwarming to know that many people care. And it's not about coming through in a huge way, it's just about showing up and doing what you can.
Do what we can, yeah. One of the things that I guess I didn't realize was the food is obviously important, right? And I just get kicked out. No. So obviously the food is very important, and those donations coming in that way. One of the things I was surprised at when I first started doing the Cheerio challenge is the way that the organizations can leverage money donations by purchasing in bulk. Is that still the case? Can you speak at all to that and the importance of, even if you don't live in Duluth community or you can't for some reason or don't want to donate cereal, that you can donate financially, and that has a huge impact?
Definitely, and it does. One of the things that I really love in working here too is, since starting, I always joke I haven't or anyone else hasn't ordered pens. We operate very frugally. Everything we can operate on that comes in as a donation, we do. So office supplies, things like that, we try not to buy, because that means more dollars can go directly to program services. And so we work really hard to make every dollar go as far as we can. And a lot of times, those financial donations allow us to purchase the goods we need to provide food every day and things like that. I think the food is one of the largest expenditures in our budget, just purely on feeding people. We do somewhere around 13,000 trays a month of food, and that's lunches and dinners. So you can imagine, at about $4 a meal, that adds up really quickly. Yeah, but then on the reverse side of that, you think back, $20 provides 5 meals. That's a huge impact for $20.
So we'll have the Cheerio Challenge coming up March 23rd through the 28th. Folks can donate at 3 different locations this week, March 23rd through the 28th. Beyond that, if folks want to donate to the store or toiletry items, those types of things, how can they connect with Damiano for making those donations?
Yeah, we try to make that as simple as possible. We're here for the donations 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and people can stop in anytime from 9 to 3 and just pull into our parking lot. We've got some shopping carts in the entryway to help push stuff in if people need. Our staff can always help, and then they just go into our sorting room and we sort those out to the programs they need to go to. But we always have a huge need for men's clothes. For whatever reason, we don't get near enough of those, and then a lot of those like kitchen supplies we're always low on as well. But yeah, we love getting to meet people who bring stuff in. We find a lot of volunteers through donors, things like that, and just love to have the help in the community here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your work that you do in our community, and for being a partner in the Cheerio Challenge, and for joining me on the podcast today.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you, Chad.